I think they're very similar prospects regarding Shedeur and Daniel Jones. From a player in person, I think they're both wonderful human beings. They're both highly accomplished, talented college players that have a chance to make an impact in the NFL. So there's a lot of similarities between Daniel Jones and Shedeur Sanders. Close quote. On the surface, obviously, Shedeur is now going to be compared to a lot of people. That's what happens with first-round picks. But a Daniel Jones comparison has some people up in arms. Shady McCoy, do you have an issue with the comp?
Yeah, I'm up in arms. I'm not. You know what, though? Now, I played with Pat Shurmur, and I love Pat. Pat's a smart,
good dude,
coach, good dude. And when I heard, I got pissed off. Like, why did I almost start texting, but then I read the whole quote, and I seen everything he said about it.
Yep.
And it was more of like the personality. Like, they asked me, hey, does Shedeur remind you of, it went like that, right? And he didn't really say anything about, like football-wise. It was all as a person because, to be honest...
It says player and person.
But they didn't talk no football. but they didn't talk no football.
I'm just saying,
they didn't say throwing, running, all that. I'll just say this, though, respectfully, right? I see some Joe Burrow and Shedeur Sanders. I see some of that. What I don't see is no Daniel Jones nowhere. And when I heard it, I am extremely pissed off. You think when Deion Sanders read this, he ain't called Pat, he think he called about the offense. No, I ain't called about no offense, dog. What the hell? You get what I'm saying? I would piss me off. I don't want to, disrespect any other players out there and talk about myself and other players, but if I'm Shedeur Sanders and I read this, I'm like, yo, what are we talking about? I don't care if we're not talking about football and personality. Don't ever mention me with Daniel Jones. Last point. This is why I don't like stuff like this, right? Because the narrative is now, all right, now people are saying, yo, is he like Daniel Jones? You start hearing it because it's his coordinator.
There it is.
If I hear Daniel Jones is coming to my team, I'm not excited.
There it is.
Right? I'm huffing and puffing. If I hear Shedeur Sanders coming to my team, I'm excited. Oh, I can't wait to see the young boy. He's pretty good. You get what I'm saying? That's why you should never compare guys like Daniel Jones to a potential top 10 draft pick.
I don't have an issue with it.
You don't?
No, I don't. For several
reasons. If I say, yo, man, Acho was a solid linebacker for Texas All-American, he run like he got 2 left feet. Would you not have a problem with that?
Here's why I don't have an issue with it, 2-5. Let's remember, Pat Shurmur coached Daniel Jones. Pat Shurmur coached Shedeur Sanders, but he coached Daniel Jones as a rookie. If I were to tell you at home, you viewer locked in, paying attention to this show, and James Jones will ask you because you can talk back to me unlike a viewer. If I were to say Shedeur Sanders were to throw for 24 touchdowns and let's go with 12 interceptions as a rookie, what would you suggest?
I would say that's possible.
It's a cool season.
Yeah, solid season.
Solid season. Yeah. That's what Daniel Jones did. And that's the Daniel Jones that Pat Shurmur knows. Remember, Pat Shurmur only coached Daniel Jones as a rookie. Daniel Jones, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 62% completion percentage. Cool season. If Shedeur Sanders does that, I would suggest success. Successful rookie season. So now the hate for Daniel Jones, I believe, is sensationalized, and Shurmur, I don't think, is fully aware of that. That's why I have no issue with it. Remember, Daniel Jones is about to be a 7-year starter in the National Football League. A 7-year starter. If you, Shedeur Sanders, can be a 7-year starter, albeit, hopefully you have significantly more success, though Daniel Jones has gone to the playoffs and won a playoff game. But if you can be a 7-year starter at quarterback in the NFL, that is a hard, incredibly difficult feat. So I don't hate the comparison. I don't see it at all based upon how they play the game. But, James, it's hard to start in football. It's hard to start for 7 years. It's hard to start at quarterback for 7 years, and he's going on years.
Hey, you one of the best on TV. This dude has found a way to make Daniel Jones sound like he's actually a good player. That was, boy.
No, he didn't.
Boy, you deserve your money. You deserve your money.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Because this right here is disrespectful to Shedeur Sanders. And it is. And the main reason is number one, we don't know what Shedeur Sanders is going to be in the National Football League. But right now, what we do know is Daniel Jones is a bust in the National Football League. That's what we do know. That is what we do know. There is no arguing around that. Daniel Jones, as a first-round pick right now, is labeled as a bust in the National Football League. That is the truth and the facts about it. If you tell anybody when you draft this dude, you're getting Daniel Jones, you know what, Acho? They're not going to draft that dude because they know what Daniel Jones is right now. And this right here is disrespectful because this ain't the first conversation. He's had individual conversations with GMs and coaches, too. He's the boys' offensive coordinator. Yeah. So you think, hey, Sherm, come over here, man. Holla at us about
NFL dude.
And if you're thinking that his comp is Daniel Jones, That is letting the world know this dude is not really like that, whether we like it or not, because we know Daniel Jones is not like that. Daniel Jones in the National Football League, and Acho, you spoke on his rookie year, but Daniel Jones in the National Football League has not been good.
At all.
I don't want to sit up here and disrespect, but he has not been good. If I am coaching a player and I'm trying to get him drafted at the highest point and somebody says, hey, man, what is Shedeur's comp? I'm probably just going to reach for the sky and say Joe Burrow. Just to get my player drafted.
I respect that. I respect that.
If I am coaching a wide receiver, let's say I'm coaching Jimmy Horn, and they say, who's his comp? And I ain't even gonna give a wide receiver's name, but I give a dude that was drafted in the first round that was a bust, that's his comp.
But here's why I disagree with y'all. It's like, one, remember, Shedeur Sanders, we have to be very mindful and accurate about who he is. He is a first-round pick, likely, that will get overdrafted. That's what Daniel Jones was, a first-round pick that got overdrafted. It's not so disparaging because, remember, you started Shady, you started James more than 7 years. So y'all know even greater than I how significant that is. Now, I think sometimes y'all take it for granted how difficult what you all did is to do. But when I look at some first-round quarterbacks, Mac Jones, he ain't started 7 years. Justin Fields, he ain't started 7 years. Zach Wilson, he ain't started 7 years. Kenny Pickett, he ain't started 7 years. Anthony Richardson, he ain't. But I'm saying they're already benched. These individuals I just named are already benched. Daniel Jones is about to go into his 7th year as a starter. Remember, he should start over Anthony Richardson this year. Anthony Richardson drafted 2 years ago, already benched. It's not as though the comp was so asinine that he compared him to a dude who didn't even start his rookie deal.
So hold on, Acho. Let's say you're the Cleveland Browns.
Yes, sir.
And you come in there and you say, Pat, you've been winning for the last 2 years, right? Who's the boys' comp? And they say Daniel Jones. You walking out of that building like we're drafting him?
Of course not.
You're hurting him.
Of course not.
So that's my only thing. You're hurting him. At least give a good comp to where they say, ooh, Sherm said he reminds him of Joe Burrow. Ooh, Sherm said he reminds him of Russell Wilson. At least give a good comp so they can at least feel excited about drafting him. This screams that the young boy's not that good. That's what it screams.
Right. But, or
who was Daniel Jones, though?
But here's obviously the Indianapolis Colts did. But here's my dilemma, though, is, or does it just scream Pat Shurmur has coached them both as rookies, you could suggest. He coached Daniel Jones as a rookie. He coached Shedeur Sanders his last season. No. Not really.
Oh,
I was with
Shurmur?
Shurmur drafted me.
He coached with McDad, Mike Vick.
I'm saying like the head man.
But I'm just saying, you've been around.
Oh,
really
he's been around good Q. But remember, Daniel Jones is a first-round pick. I don't think
the brother went to Duke, man. This ain't basketball. This is football. Can you name some good players from Duke?
Can you name some great players from Colorado prior to Travis and Shedeur?
Yeah. Jimmy Smith was a really good player. Quarterback. He played for the Ravens. You know what that is?
Yes.
Pretty good.
On 5 fingers, you can
What's
name
my man, Lindsey? What's his name? The running back?
Lindsey?
These guys they good. We could talk about them. I can't say nothing good about Daniel Jones. Huh? You know what? When Saquon came to the Eagles, we joking. You know how my personality is. I'm having a good time. And I'm just, picking at him about Daniel Jones. And, Saquon's one of the nicest people you're going to meet.
Yeah.
And he was trying to find different words to say.
Is it or is it not difficult? Let me ask you all this, because you all have done it. Is it or is it not difficult to start at quarterback for 7 years in the NFL? James, you go first. I just need you to answer the question. There's only 32 of them in the entire world. The receivers, there's 3 of them. When y'all tried out there in 11 personnel, you tried out there in 10 personnel, there's 4 starters. Is it or is it not difficult to start for 7 years in the National Football League? Can I get an answer to the question?
Yes.
It's difficult. Shady, is it or is it not?
I can't give you an answer like that. Yo,
it's difficult, bro.
No, but it's difficult to be that bad, too, though, like Daniel Jones. He's not a good player, though. Okay, real quick, because you always say that I'm tough on people. Is he good or is he not good?
I do not think he is.
There's a lot of bad players that start for. You ever been on a team how the hell is he a starter?
It's not about think right now. What he's shown us
crazy.
He's not a good player.
But here's where I'm growing frustrated with you all. The reason I'm growing frustrated with you all is this.
Jones, bro.
If Shedeur gets a $160 million contract after his 4th season, that is a win. Let's make no mistake about how difficult it is to not be a bust as a first-round quarterback. I've just named 5 busted quarterbacks in the last 4 years.
And the Giants know it was a mistake for paying Daniel Jones. That is clear as day now. It was a mistake. He's not a good player. when you compare a dude to a guy that's not a good player, you're saying that this dude is not that good of a player.
Okay.
That's all you're saying.
Here's what you said he got paid, right?
Yes, sir.
So real quick.
A lot of people get paid.
He had, in 7 years as starter, he had
6 years. He's
6 years starter. He had 69 starts. And take a wild guess how many of them he won. Take a wild guess.
I guess
20.
28.
He won 24 games out of 69, man. And we up here talking about my comp. Do you know how mad I would pissed off I would be?
Okay, let's flip it on its head, because draft time is where other shows, we in the facility, we got to keep it real. During the draft is where other shows will wax poetically about individuals. Who is the comp we all said is within the last 48 hours of Shedeur Sanders?
I'm saying Joe Burrow.
Correct. Joe Burrow?
Sure.
I said Joe Burrow. That's equally asinine. Both of those things are equally asinine. For Shedeur Sanders to be compared to Joe Burrow is just as asinine as comparing Shedeur Sanders to Daniel Jones. Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl his second year in the National Football League. He resurrected a franchise from the pits of hell. He took LSU to 15-0. I would suggest the best college football season in the history of college football. En route to doing that, you have to beat Alabama, you have to beat Clemson, you have to beat OU, you have to go into Austin and beat Texas. He threw for 60 passing touchdowns, and he had over 45 or 5,000 yards. So comparing Shedeur Sanders to Joe Burrow is equally as asinine as it is to compare Shedeur Sanders to Daniel Jones. It's just that Joe Burrow is in heaven and Daniel Jones is in hell and Shedeur Sanders is on earth. But I'm not going to sit here and act like comparing Shedeur to a top 3 quarterback in the National Football League, top 4 at worst. I'm not going to act like that's not asinine either.
I mean, respect to Joe. Joe didn't play with Colorado, and Shedeur didn't play for LSU. And I ain't talking about only on offense. Okay, that team roster was all like that.
1,000%.
So when you make it like, oh my God, he doing it by, no, he didn't do it by himself. Okay,
but
and another thing is, okay, so let's take Joe Burrow out of it, because I did my homework and I seen a lot of guys say Andy Dalton.
Fair,
right?
Fair comp.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. Andy was solid, you know, in his career, so I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is one of the worst quarterbacks in football that I've seen with my eyes. One of the worst quarterbacks that the Giants franchise feels like he is now. The freaking fan base for New York, you think they was excited about this contract he got? You talking to me like, for his 7 years, people, analysts, players thought he was good. They did not think he was good.
Of course not.
So my thing is, when you compare me to a guy that everybody think is not good, like you don't think he's good, how does that help me out in the draft?
That's fair.
That's all I'm saying. So for me, like, we don't know what Shedeur's going to be. Shedeur could be better than all these dudes. He could be worse than all these dudes. We don't know what he's going to be. But at least going into the draft, if you say Joe Burrow, that's letting other GMs and organizations know you should take this kid. I coached this kid for 2 years. This is what I seen him. Not a bad player. After Daniel Jones signed that $160 million, he won 3 football games. They didn't score like a touchdown in like 9 games in MetLife Stadium.
No, it's not that
I know that, James.
It's not. No, it's a true story. It's not that I disagree with you all by any stretch of the imagination. And also, I think the indictment is who said it, right? It's true. It's Shedeur Sanders' former coach who said it, right?
That's
an NFL guy too.
Correct, and an NFL guy. That's the problem, is who said it. That it was said, I don't really mind, because truth be told, if Shedeur has a 7-year NFL career, to me, that's an accomplishment. That's a win.
If he has a 7-year Daniel Jones career, it's not. That is a bad quarterback. That is going to be labeled.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though, right? I think there's pros and cons. That's why I love this show, because we just talking ball, not even looking at notes. Pros and cons to every career. Andy, I might need your help with this. Andy Dalton, I don't believe, won a playoff game. I believe 0-6 in the playoffs. I think he went to the playoff maybe 6 consecutive seasons. I don't know that Andy Dalton won a playoff game again. Sorry, Bengals fans, if I'm incorrect. He was a good quarterback, sure. And he's still in the league. He's been in the league for the last, I think, 4 years as a backup. Good quarterback. Daniel Jones won a playoff game. Not a good quarterback right now, but I'm suggesting, James, like, based upon what we know about Shedeur in college, if Shedeur goes to the NFL, if he gets a $160 million deal, even if it's a mistake, if he wins a playoff game, even if it was an accident, if he throws for his rookie year 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, even if it was coincidental, I'm going to be like, look, sure, you were a bust, But it was clearly harder to do than it wasn't because Kenny Pickett's do exist. He didn't even start by year 3. Mac Jones's do exist. He's not even starting by year 4. Justin Fields's, they do exist. He didn't start by year 4 and he got traded by the 3rd year. Trey Lance's, they do exist. So if you end up getting $160 million, Shedeur, on a second contract to win a playoff game in year 4 and have 24 touchdowns as a rookie, I'm not going to scoff at it.
You're talking money and all that type stuff. The boy has not been drafted yet, Acho. Any of them quarterbacks you just said, if a GM came in there and said, man, you've been around this dude for 2 years, you've seen him in the games, you've seen him in practice, you've seen him in the meeting rooms, who does he remind you of? Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett? Those are not good players. You're not helping the young boy get drafted.
Hold on, real quick, though. If you had that conversation, then you talk to Shedeur. So you meet with the office coordinator, and he says, you know, the comparison is Daniel Jones. Oh, okay, all right, cool. Then you go meet with the quarterback now. Yeah, man, hey, you love your tape. You love the practice, man. Great pro day you had. Oh, man, showed out. The showcase, Colorado. You know, we had a chance to talk to your dad, and he said some things about you, good and bad, you know. So, my dad, okay, cool. Then we talk to your coordinator, right? You know, how you feel about Pat Shurmur? Oh, I love Pat, man. He calls my plays, helps me out. Yeah, man, you know, he said that you remind him of Daniel Jones. How do you think Shedeur feel about that?
Of course, it's disrespectful.
So my thing is, you keep talking about 7 years and all this money. What does that mean? Because he's still a bad quarterback. And if I ask you about the Giants front office, not a head coach, but front office, what do you feel about the GM for the Giants? Think he's good?
Not anymore. I can't. Joe Shane?
Why you don't think he's good?
Because of Saquon.
Okay, anything else?
Daniel Jones, yeah, overpaying it. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You saying it without saying it.
Let me ask you this, James, because obviously...
my dad might want to fight, Coach. He said that about me.
Last question here before, obviously, we have to take it to break. It's been a great conversation for me.
Jones.
Hopefully, y'all have enjoyed it as well. The comps we've heard in the last 2 days is Joe Burrow, and we've heard Daniel Jones. Shedeur Sanders, we do not know what his NFL career will be like. But for context, Joe Burrow is unanimously considered a top 5 quarterback. By many people, considered a top 3, top 4 quarterback. Super Bowl is sophomore year. AFC Championship game is 3rd year. Shedeur Sanders, through his first, we'll call it 6 years, more likely to have a Daniel Jones career or a Joe Burrow career? So is he more likely to win a playoff game, but not much more than that, have losing seasons? Or is he more likely to go to the Super Bowl, AFC Championship game? I'll ask you, is he more likely to, because I think if Shedeur's here and Daniel's here and Joe is here, what would you at home, what would you, James Jones, suggest? Where on the ledger, Shedeur more likely to have a Joe Burrow or a Daniel Jones?
You're missing the point, Acho.
I just want you to answer the question.
I'm going to say a Bo Nix. That's what I'm going to say.
Playoffs rookie year?
Playoffs rookie year, but look like a good quarterback. Daniel Jones does not look like a good quarterback. Go to the playoffs and look like a good quarterback. That would be a comp. Bo Nix would have been a solid comp. One of these quarterbacks that had played well as a rookie, Drake May would have been a solid comp. Something like that, hey, upside, good quarterback, not a bad player. That's all I'm saying. We don't know what he's going to be. So I'll say a Bo Nix. Get to the playoffs, help your team out, help your team win, and it also depends where you're going.
We talking about, wait, real quick, because we talking about Daniel Jones, right?
That's what Acho's talking about.
Come on, Acho. Come on, bro. Daniel Jones.
I had to ask.
Acho, you're not going to help the young bull, though. Like, no, for real, though. As an offensive coordinator, you know what you say carries weight. You're not going to try to help the young bull.
The biggest thing for me is they don't play the same. That's why I don't like the comp. I don't like the comp because they don't play the same.
Where are they like the same?
I don't see it. Yeah. Now, I didn't coach both of them like Pat Shurmur did, but I don't see it. Truth be told, here's what I think. I know Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur drafted me. Forever indebted to Pat Shurmur, head coach of the Cleveland Browns when I was drafted in 2012. I like Pat Shurmur a lot. What I think is Pat Shurmur knows Daniel Jones was a first-round pick. He knows Daniel Jones as a rookie had 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Shurmur doesn't know the Daniel Jones that we all know because he stopped coaching him after that. I also know college coaches. One called me during the show yesterday. I don't think Shurmur is as in tune as we are with how bad Daniel Jones is perceived publicly.
No, that's a lot.
Shurmur calling plays for Colorado. He's trying to figure things out. He's trying to make sure he keeps his job. I don't think he's as in tune. No, I think he might be in tune, but I don't think Shurmur's on Twitter realizing, oh, everybody thinks Daniel Jones sucks. If he knew that, I don't think he would.
I'm going to text him. I'm going to text him and find out.
But not only that, the Giants is coming to work this dude out today. You think the Giants reach for Daniel Jones?
1,000%. We all know.
And you just said that before the Giants is about to come over here, and the Giants got the 3rd pick in the draft, and the Giants need a young quarterback. So that's all the stuff saying, don't go get this young boy. He reminds me of the dude you drafted before.
But you're thinking too much into it.
I'm thinking what he's saying.
But you're a sports analyst. You get paid to know what's going on in all of sports.
Acho.
Pat Shurmur gets paid right now to know what's going on with Colorado and Colorado football. I don't think Pat Shurmur knows how bad Daniel Jones is right now.
You acting like you ain't been in locker rooms, Acho, and you have. If you were in the Giants building right now and the offensive coordinator said, hey, Malik, they say that boy reminded Daniel Jones. Go get him, coach. No, nobody's gonna want him.
What up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.